Hey everyone, this is Tate, and it's free comic, Hi everyone, this is Tate, and it is New Comic Book Day on December 3rd, 2025, and that means another episode of the Absolute Ultimate Escapist Comics podcast. I'm joined by our two other hosts.
Persephone.
Dr. Pearl.
Dr. Pearl, we have some comics news, or I have some comics news that we're going to get a little bit into the weeds with. And then we're going to talk about some new comics. We're going to talk about some large, exciting books on the shelf. And we're going to talk about some fun gifts that you can get your fellow comics nerds as the season approaches for gift giving. With that being said, Pearl, take us away with a theme song.
We're the Escapists, and we have a podcast. It's about comics. Thank you for coming. My name is Pearl, and I'm a doctor, and we all love you. La 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 la.
Woo! Wonderful.
Thank you.
How close do you think you are to running out of songs?
I have several albums. You think I just came up with that on the spot? I wrote that weeks ago.
She has dance routines too, but it doesn't show on the audio medium.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, that's for the Patreon.
Yeah,
okay,
listeners at home, you get the naked stream and you get the dance.
The what?
The very real naked stream.
The one that we've definitely talked about before.
Yeah.
This is the first I'm hearing about it.
You don't see that we're both naked in the store
I
right
don't
now?
see naked.
God, I
It's
wish
only
more
one
people...
body, the human body.
I wish more people were like you, you know? The world would just be much better place.
Yeah. Much better place.
So, the comics news that I have to talk about, and I don't know if you guys have heard about this at all, the comics news that I want to talk about today, and this is kind of crazy stuff, but it's about France's Angouleme Comics Festival, which is kind of Europe's premier comics festival, not convention, comics festival, and it kind of brings all of the titans of indie comics from all over the place, and they do signings and talks, and it's very artsy and whatnot. I've never been. It's too expensive for me to go, but I would love to go at some point. But it's the kind of place that your Art Spiegelmans, your Julie Doucets, your Phoebe Gluckners, your Katie Skellys, all those kind of big Fantagraphics authors that you would see them showing up at. And it's kind of this like old storied comics festival. So recently there's been a lot of controversy surrounding this festival, especially surrounding the organization that is responsible for organizing it, hosting it, kind of doing all of the stuff that is involved with making the festival happen in Angouleme, the town, which is, the organization is called 9E Art Plus, which is like a super weird name. I don't know why it's called that, but it's called 9E Art Plus, and it's run by this guy named Bondo, and he's been coming under fire along with the organization for a while now, for kind of all sorts of stuff. And I think this started about a year ago. Basically a bunch of publishers as well as artists announced that as long as Bondo and 9E Art Plus were the ones organizing Angouleme this coming year, 2026, it's hosted normally between like January 29th, I think, and February 2nd or 3rd is the date range. Or at least that's the date range for the 2026 one. It was like 40 plus publishers and a bunch of artists, including Julie Doucet, Joe Sacco, Art Spiegelman, sort of these big names in independent comics, announced that they would not be attending the event if Bondo and 9E Art Plus were going to be the ones organizing it. And oh my gosh, got more cat puking going on over here.
Me me and Persephone are both covered head to toe in cat puke, by the way. You can't see because it's a podcast.
Yeah, Pearl is clothed, Persephone is naked, covered in cat vomit.
We're going to be talking about vomit a lot on this podcast. The Singapore sling of podcasts. Don't look at me like that. This is a recommendation for the 1990 Greek film Singapore Sling.
Where they barf all over each other constantly.
Nikos Nikolaidos and David Lynch had the same feverish vision of, like, detectives being haunted by, like, the ghosts of women named Laura. Except instead of making Twin Peaks, Nikos Nikolaidos made, like, lesbian fetish porn about it.
Persephone has a barf thing.
I do not have a barf thing.
Guys, they're just coworkers. They're just coworkers.
It's like she's always pushing it on me.
Yeah.
In a coworker kind of way.
The puke stuff is staying in. I'm keeping that shit in. That was funny.
Good. We'll talk more about that with Punisher Max.
Yeah, so the reason that all these publishers and artists announced that they were going to be boycotting Angouleme as long as 90 Art Plus was organizing it, there's a bunch of reasons, but basically they all surround Bundo's sort of conduct in the workplace. There was like a big expose from a French newspaper about it that basically revealed that he was like an incredibly toxic manager. He was like a super like chauvinistic, misogynistic man. There were a ton of financial irregularities. He was working employees to the bone. He was over-commercializing stuff that a lot of these artists and workers did not get into 90 Art Plus to kind of commercialize, because again, Angouleme is kind of about these incredibly independent artistic cartoonists, basically. I mean, it's about the art very much, and like much less the fandom, as I understand it. It's not your NYCC, it's not your San Diego Comic-Con. It's very much about the love of the comics art form. And so this kind of rampant over-commercialization and this like really hardcore overworking of employees was really against the ethos of why a bunch of people joined. And then to top it all off, and this is by far the worst thing that he's done, this is Bundo, the manager. He drastically mismanaged an employee's sexual assault.
Jesus.
Someone reported it, that this woman had been assaulted, and he dismissed her. He fired her, as I understand it, from the company.
For being assaulted?
Yeah, well, I think ostensibly for being assaulted, but also ostensibly for reporting it and making it a problem he had to deal with.
Yeah, was it not customer, a worker under him?
Yeah, it was an employee.
It was an employee who had done it, okay.
And he wasn't the assailant, to be clear, but he dismissed her.
Yeah.
And a lot of this is coming from reporting that the Comics Beat did. You should definitely go read those articles. They're incredible. They're doing really, really good, solid reporting on it. And this is like really complex, and I'm going over it really quickly. So if you want more information, definitely just go read those articles. They're free on the Comics Beat website. Definitely go check that out. There's like 4 or 5 in this like series of articles they've been writing about Angouleme. So they announced this boycott, basically. So they're boycotting it, and then there's like a separate feminist movement that announced a girlcott of Angouleme for basically the same reasons. So there's widespread boycotting of this organization in the community, and they basically asked that anyone who wasn't contractually obligated to show up not come at all, even if they normally come. And then anyone who's contractually obligated to show up legally, they asked that they basically do like bare bones staffing and they not do any signings. So basically like don't do any of the stuff that brings people in.
Yeah.
For good reason. I mean, I think I definitely agree with all of the reasons to boycott this organization. But Angouleme, the Angouleme Comics Festival is, because it's European and not part of the grand institution called the USA, it's like 50% publicly funded. So it's not just this like private commercial institution. It's publicly funded, and it's like publicly partnered with the community, and it's a huge source of revenue for Angouleme, the town. So, well, I'm gonna pause. So, effectively, the community really relies on the Angouleme Comics Festival, and I think this contract is, to a certain degree, a kind of public contract with the private sector. So when the community signs a contract with 90 Art Plus, it's like the community is contracting out this organizational work to them, and like 50% of the funds come from public partners. And basically the boycott is demanding, so basically what that means is 90 Art Plus doesn't have like ownership over the Angouleme Comics Festival, although I think they've been the organizers for a long time, if not for all of them, since their inception. And it's really important to the community, so the boycotts are largely demanding that Angouleme figure out a new organizer, effectively. But 90 Art Plus basically supposedly has a contract until 2027. But the community was like, if no one's going to show up, like, we need to figure out a different person. So as I understand it, they held what was supposed to be like a reselection process, and 90 Art Plus was included in that reselection. Because I think they probably had to be included if they had the contract until 2027 or something. I don't fully understand it. You should definitely go read this Comics Beat reporting, but there were like 6 other companies or something that were being considered, and 90 Art Plus was still the one that was chosen. The community is really angry. They've kind of like lost a ton of faith in their local politicians. I think like the mayor of Angouleme was, I think, involved in the decision-making process and has been doing a lot of like public sort of appearances and stuff discussing it, and no one really has any trust in him, especially after 90 Art Plus is like chosen once more as the organizer, and they're saying they're going to hold another like rerun decision-making process, but 90 Art Plus has threatened, according to the other organizations that were bidding for this contract, has threatened to sue any organization that gets the contract that isn't 90 Art Plus, because they're supposed to have the contract, I guess, until 2027, although no one wants to go to the organization run by them. So they're basically kind of scaring away all of the organizations that might be interested in hosting instead of 90 Art Plus.
Actually, maybe don't talk to women, because most of those guys are incels, but like...
I won't talk to them.
Well, yeah, it's because you're a femcel.
Total femcel.
So yeah, kind of restarting from when the phone rang, basically 90 Art Plus has threatened anyone who's competing with their contract in this decision-making process with legal action, because they're claiming that they basically like own the rights to host it for the next 2 years. And I don't fully understand like the contractual agreement that Angouleme is under, so obviously I can't really like speak to that. But it sounds like it was pretty effective in scaring off a lot of the other organizations that wanted the contract. And they've been increasingly hostile towards all the other public partners, so all of the people who are providing the other like half of the money that goes into the festival. And they've been like blaming all of the delays on like bad actors in the public partner area, and then they've also been saying that all of the bad press is only coming from like local public partners that like don't like Bondo specifically, despite the fact that it's like tons of the bad press is coming from a bunch of artists who aren't even French, you know? And so Angouleme has lost a bunch of like the manga tables that they would normally have, and a bunch of the American comics tables, and a bunch of the European comics tables. But the sort of anti-consumerist zine fair that is not directly associated with, but is seen as like part of Angouleme. It's called Future Off. It's called Future Off. They're like a local zine event that's unofficially part of Angouleme, but that happens and is hosted on the same like time frame as Angouleme. They announced that they're still going to be hosting theirs, and they were basically just like, we're still hosting ours, and all of our values are directly in opposition to all of this bullshit that 90 Art Plus is a part of. So if you are still interested and you have the money to like hitch a ride to France for a zine fair, you know, one, I'm jealous. That sounds awesome. Two, Future Off is doing like all this super cool shit. Like I think they're providing like free tables for anyone who wants to go. They're trying to make themselves as accessible as possible. And they're still holding those on the same dates as Angouleme was supposed to be held for 2026. It definitely reads, the stories definitely read a little bit like all of the Silver Sprocket insanity that was happening like a year ago or something. It's like so complicated, and there's so much shit where it's like the stuff that feels really complicated about it is so French, you know? It's like there's like such a cultural difference between the way that their like arts culture works and just like the way their like legal system works and stuff, and I think it's like probably really hard to understand fully, but you should go read all of this Comics Beat reporting that they're doing because it's really good. The writers for that are Dean Simons. There's only one M. Dean Simons, and let's see, I think mostly Dean Simons has been kind of the guy covering all of this, the person covering all of this, and pretty wild, pretty niche comics festival, but at the same time like kind of the biggest or one of the biggest comics festivals in the world, and in my opinion one of the coolest. But yeah, I guess updates coming as the weeks go on, you know.
Interesting, like, how many facets of kind of comics culture this touches on, both the kind of like the public sector funding of like private art, which you see in like across Europe and Canada in ways that you don't fucking see in the United States, and in theory that would make them like more accountable to the people. But then, you know, if your leaders are also a bunch of like misogynists and sex offenders, you know, misogynists and sex offenders and people with money protect each other, and that's a common theme in the comics industry across borders. I mean, just look at fucking like Eddie Berganza and Scott Alley and like all the other like creepy motherfuckers that are like in the industry still, or like were in the industry. Warren Ellis, CB Cebulski pretending to be a Japanese man so he could write shitty Marvel manga in 2004.
Oh, Akira.
Yeah. Sorry, Akira Yoshida, and current Marvel editor in chief Akira Yoshida. Yeah, and then and just kind of I think that's kind of the broad strokes of it. But yeah, it is interesting like how much this kind of touches on things that are like simultaneously so impenetrably French and also so universal.
Yeah, I also think I mean, I feel like the comics industry is like increasingly, like I feel like after the Me Too movement and like the film and TV world, like there were ripples out into like all other forms of kind of like media production, and I feel like it's like led to a certain degree of kind of increased accountability in like all of these fields, and I feel like comics is like such a kind of like like kind of comics is like so on the outside ring of that.
Yeah.
That like I think we're finally seeing kind of with this Angouleme thing, with Silver Sprocket. I mean, even like all the weirdness surrounding like Gretchen Felker Martin. Like I think we're seeing a kind of increase in the culture holding people accountable. And my hope would be, and I should clarify, the Gretchen Felker Martin, the cultural backlash was against DC, not against her, because she did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But my hope is that stuff like this kind of signals an increase in sort of like normal, empathetic, human kind behavior towards one another.
Yeah.
Rather than the kind of like classic incel-y kind of comics, misogyny and racism and stuff like that, you know?
And it's really nice to see that, like, a lot of creators have personally been like, I'm just not going to fuck with that. Like, I'm not surprised, like, Joe Sacco or Katie Skelly said, like, fuck this shit and backed out. Like, I'm not surprised, but it's still nice to see, given, like, even within the last couple of years, people are still like, yeah, I'll still go to the Hugos despite the fucking Raytheon funding, or like, you know, whatever, or like I'm happy to shill for fucking like Marvel's defense contracts or whatever.
Yeah. Plus it's like, I mean, at this point too, I think it's like it's so hard to kind of buy. It feels difficult for me whenever I like get a Marvel comic or something right now, just because it's like so. I mean, they're owned by Disney. Like, it's such an evil corporation, you know?
Yeah.
And even though they're putting stuff out, like, the Ultimate series where you've got, like, anti-prison industrial complex Luke Cage and, like, anti-colonial Hawkeye and, like, kind of, like, all these kind of pseudo-leftist progressive themes and ideas, like, at the end of the day, they're still owned by Disney, you know? It's like, there's some stuff that's hard to reconcile. So pick up a damned indie comic.
Yeah, pick up, and this includes like Image is included in the kind of like Marvel and DC here. Like
Image doesn't count as indie.
Image doesn't count as indie, and I just want to make that clear.
Yeah. That's all the news for my end. I'll keep kind of like giving little updates, I guess, as they come in the following weeks. I know that was me rambling on about this crap for a little bit.
No, I'm glad you talked about it.
Anybody else have news?
This is like such a small piece of news comparatively, but I think it's a good, what do you call it? Like palate cleanser a little bit. Is last night, or I guess not last night, I guess a couple days ago actually, Sean Gordon Murphy announced he was doing a new book about America these days with a double-page spread of two people on their phones, one with red lines coming out of it and one with blue. And I think we need a moratorium on dumb guys with absolutely nothing to say about anything, much less like society and politics, talking about America these days. I thought Spectators was going to be the fucking dregs of this, but no. Like, we've got the fucking Dan Houser thing, and then now we've got the Sean Gordon Murphy thing, and I don't know what's in the water right now. We're like
American Caper.
American Caper, yeah, which is actually the worst thing I've read this year. It's awful. Fucking god awful. And now Sean Gordon Murphy's throwing his hat in the ring, and I just like, I don't know what's in the water that makes these men who have literally nothing to say about anything think they should talk about like America these days in this kind of weird like Bill Maher fucking ass way. But like, we need to stop them. At least Brian K. Vaughan has Saga. Like, what does Sean Gordon Murphy have? Like Batman White Knight? What does Dan Houser have? Like union busting? Fuck off. Anyway, that was my bit of news. I'm tired of seeing these guys. It's insufferable.
Okay.